You know that feeling of being stuck in a relentless cycle of daily stress? Well, what if I told you that all that stress, it doesn't actually come from the world around you? What if it comes from somewhere else entirely? Today, we're going to dive into a framework that might just change how you see, well, everything. So let's just let that sink in for a second. All your mental stress is due to your mental stress. That is a huge claim, right? The idea here is that our anguish isn't really caused by our job or our relationships or anything happening out there in the world, but by our own minds. And I get it, at first that sounds almost impossible. So how can that possibly be true? I mean, isn't the world obviously the cause of our problems? That's the exact question we need to unpack. And to get to the answer, we have to start by looking at a habit that, let's be honest, most of us have every single day: the complaining mind. This is where we see a really crucial shift in focus. Think about it. When you're complaining about being stuck in traffic, your attention is all on the cars, right? But the argument here is that the act of complaining itself, that feeling of frustration, of agitation, that is the immediate suffering. The problem isn't the traffic jam. The problem is the state of your mind while you're in it. Okay, so this whole idea kind of forces us to get really clear on our terms. When we talk about suffering, what do we actually mean? Because it's not just about, big major life tragedies. It's defined here as any state of unbearableness. And that could be anything. Think about that restless feeling you get when you're trying to relax but just can't. Or that low-grade worry humming in the background about a deadline. Even just that subtle feeling of dissatisfaction with your day. All of those? Yep, according to this model, those are all moments of suffering. And really, it just boils down to two simple conditions. You're getting something you don't want, or you're not getting something you do want. Getting stuck in traffic when you just want to get home? That's suffering. Not getting that praise you were hoping for at work? Yep, that's suffering too. It's a pretty simple, universal formula for all that friction we feel day to day. And this right here gets to the absolute core of it. The suffering isn't in the traffic or the lack of praise itself. It's in the mind's attachment to a certain outcome. It's the wanting and the not wanting that creates all the friction. And getting this, well, this is the first really big step. Okay, so if our attachment is the real source of the problem, then that points to something even deeper. It suggests we're making a fundamental mistake, a mistake about who we actually think we are. You could say we're basically caught up in these turbulent waters instead of just watching everything from a stable, calm riverbank. We've taken on an identity that pretty much guarantees we're going to be stressed out. So let's look at a model that might just help us find that stable ground. So the model we're talking about is actually super simple, but it's also pretty profound. It's all built on two concepts that are literally always present in every single moment of our experience. So on one side, you have knowing. Think of this as the basic awareness of your mind. It's just always on. And on the other side, you have being known, which is anything and everything that your awareness can possibly experience. And here's the thing. You can't have one without the other. They're totally inseparable, like two sides of the same coin. Now, in this way of looking at things, anything that is being known is called an object. But, and this is super important, we're not just talking about physical objects like a table or a chair. The word object here means so much more. For example, the world outside you, that's an object. Your own body, that's an object too. That feeling of anger that suddenly bubbles up, yep, that's an object being known by your mind. A thought, a memory, even a whole complicated situation. Basically, if you can be aware of it, it's an object. And here is the most radical part of this whole idea. You know that persistent sense of I or me? That feeling that you're the one at the center of everything, the one doing the experiencing? Well, according to this model, that self is also just another object being known by awareness. And that leads to the question that changes everything. If your thoughts, your feelings, and even your very sense of self are just things that you are aware of, then who or what is the one doing the awareness? Answering that question leads us directly to our true position. It's like finding a stable home that we've been overlooking this entire time. This quote just flips our whole normal view of ourselves completely upside down. It's saying that everything you've ever thought of as you, the part that thinks, the part that feels, the person you think is experiencing life, that's all actually an object being observed. Your true nature isn't the experience itself. It's the steady, unchanging background knowing that's aware of the experience.
So here's where it all connects back to stress and suffering. When we make that mistake and identify with the object, when we believe I am angry or I am sad or I am this thought, we've literally tied our identity to something that is constantly changing. And that, my friends, is a guaranteed recipe for feeling insecure, uncertain, and stressed out.
Think of it like a lighthouse. The lighthouse itself doesn't become the storm raging around it. In the same way, the knowing doesn't get angry, it's just aware that the object of anger has shown up. It doesn't become sad, it's simply aware that sadness is present. It's the stable, quiet, non-judgmental space where all these experiences just come and go.
Okay, so this is all really interesting, but how do we actually apply it? What's the practical, everyday takeaway here? How can we start to experience this shift for ourselves?
Well, the practice is actually all about simple observation, and it's broken down into 3 steps. Step 1, just start noticing that knowing is always happening. Right now, you're knowing the sound of my voice. Step 2, start to recognize that everything you experience, a thought, a feeling, a sound, is just an object appearing in that knowing. And finally, step 3, learn to see all of these objects as just nature, like little weather patterns that just arise and pass away all on their own without you having to do anything.
And this is really important. Your job isn't to change the objects. It's not about trying to stop feeling angry or getting rid of stressful thoughts. Your only job is to stop identifying with them. It's about returning to your real position as the knower and just being aware of them as they come and go. That simple shift in perspective, that's what untangles you from the suffering.
And that's the beautiful exploration this whole practice opens up for you. If you are not your thoughts, not your feelings, and not your personal story, what's left? What is that steady, silent knowing that has been here the entire time? It's a question worth exploring. Thanks for tuning in.